From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now, the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, July 14th. Pretty quiet Wednesday in store for you weather-wise. Some sunshine, dry, and a pretty typical summer day with highs in the mid-80s with that humidity as well. Yet another deadly overnight shooting in Indianapolis. A man is dead and police are trying to find the shooter. It happened in an apartment complex near 42nd and Post Road just after 11 last night. According to IMPD, Lawrence officers heard shots and Indianapolis officers found the victim. Officers who were there at the scene tell our crew that they were talking to someone who may have seen it happen, but so far there's no word if police have found that shooter. And this morning, we're learning more about a child COVID crisis in another state and what an agency here is doing to help Central Indiana parents keep their kids safe from the virus. The Hamilton County Health Department will be hosting a virtual town hall to help answer common questions parents have about getting their kids vaccinated against COVID-19. This comes as other states like Mississippi are seeing a surge in kids getting COVID-19. The Mississippi State Health Officer says 7 children are in the ICU. 2 of them are on life support because of a surge in Delta variant cases. So they shared on social media that nearly all cases in that state are the Delta variant. Now people are being encouraged to get their COVID-19 vaccine if they're eligible. The health officer says the majority of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are among people who have not gotten their shot. According to the CDC vaccine tracker, Mississippi ranks last in people who've received at least 1 dose. Here in Indiana, health officials are also pushing for people to get vaccinated. Hamilton County leaders say almost 69% of people in that county, 12 and older, are vaccinated. But that number is much lower when you look at specific communities. The virtual town hall to answer questions is Thursday, July 22nd. It's all online, and 2 local pediatricians will lead the discussion talking about vaccine side effects, development of the shots, and other issues or concerns parents may bring up. Health officials understand parents have concerns and anxiety surrounding that vaccine. So if you want to sign up for this virtual town hall, we have a link for you on wishtv.com. Just go there, and then you'll find this story under the As Seen on Wish TV section. And a new report says Johnson and Johnson and AstraZeneca are considering changes to their vaccines. The Wall Street Journal says the companies are in the early stages of research to find out why the vaccines may be causing blood clots in rare cases and if modifications to the vaccines can prevent that. The CDC has gotten at least 29 reports of clots and 3 deaths in people who got the J&J shot. The AstraZeneca version is not yet approved in the United States, but there have been clotting cases reported in countries where it is in use. Calls are growing for full FDA approval of the coronavirus vaccines. All versions are currently under emergency use authorization, but this week, Dr. Anthony Fauci said he'll be astounded if it does not happen. Our expert, former Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams, says the full FDA okay will encourage more people to get the shot.
I want people to understand that the emergency use authorization is based on the data on safety and efficacy. The difference between that and the full licensure at this point really is about looking at the manufacturing processes that are out there. But until we get that full licensure, there are going to be people who are going to be hesitant as individuals. And more importantly, perhaps, it's a reason why many organizations are hesitant to create a vaccine mandate, because we've never had a vaccine mandated that hasn't had full licensure before.
Adams adds that he wants people to know that the vaccines are safe. And a pandemic problem leads to a long-term solution for families with babies needing extra care. It took a team effort between pediatricians and medical equipment providers. This is all about empowering parents and simplifying a time in their life that can be really hard. Bringing a baby home, whether that's right after birth and health issues arise later or from neonatal intensive care units. An IU health doctor recognized that these families were often asked to come to their doctor's office for weekly weigh-ins. Weight is a really important indicator of health and wellness with babies. And we're not talking about weight like we would for adults with a pound here or there, but a matter of just ounces can make a really big difference for an infant. Those trips to the office were made pretty difficult during the pandemic due to other children being out of school but not allowed to attend the appointments, and the added risk of exposing new parents and babies to public spaces just for a weigh-in. So The pediatrician paired up with CareSource to create a program for families to get a free baby scale in their home to use and keep.
And this is seemingly a small thing, but it really does empower that family to get very critical, objective information that they can share with the healthcare team in order to, again, protect and help that baby thrive.
Parents can use the scales weekly or even daily to keep their own weight log for their baby, which can then be relayed to their care provider. It's an item CareSource says will hopefully give some families peace of mind, but also help others identify problems as early as possible. This is something CareSource says they'll continue to provide long into the future. All you need is an order from your care provider. Senate Democrats have reached a $3.5 trillion budget agreement. The plan includes expanding Medicare coverage and child care and ways to address climate change. The budget is separate from the $600 billion bipartisan infrastructure bill, and this is not a done deal. Democrats face possible objections from rival moderate and progressive groups. Senator Bernie Sanders is the chairman of the Budget Committee, who spent weeks hammering out an agreement. And this morning, we are waiting on a response from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell and other Republicans. 6 Indiana mayors are asking Congress to move the bipartisan infrastructure framework forward. The mayors of Bloomington, Carmel, Fort Wayne, Gary, Indianapolis, and Lawrence all signed a letter addressed to the leaders of the House and Senate. President Biden is calling on Congress to pass federal voting rights legislation. In an impassioned speech, Biden stressed that the For the People Act would help end voter suppression in states. He says passing it is a national imperative. He also slammed states that have passed more restrictive voting laws as of late.
There's an unfolding assault taking place in America today, an attempt to suppress and subvert the right to vote.
The plea comes as Texas Democratic lawmakers face arrest for fleeing to D.C. in an attempt to hold off a vote on Republicans' push for restrictive new voting laws in the state of Texas. The NCAA is offering to foot the bill for their bail. And today, Indigo is set to unveil a new bus stop to offer a quicker, safer way for veterans to get to the doctor. The new stop is at the corner of St. Margaret's Drive and Smith Boulevard, just steps from the entrance of both Raudebush VA Medical Center and Eskenazi Hospital. Indigo says the nearest stop to the VA Center used to be nearly a half mile away. The new bus stop will be unveiled at 10 o'clock this morning. In a large show of support for a police detective killed in the line of duty, hundreds of people paid final respects to Terre Haute's Greg Ferenczi before he was laid to rest yesterday. Law enforcement from all across the country gathered at the Holman Center for his funeral. Ferenczi was a 30-year veteran of the Terre Haute Police Department and served his last 11 years on the FBI task force. Those who spoke at the service remembered his dedication to his work and those around him.
While he had every right to be arrogant, he had no use for that emotion and would just as soon make you laugh. In the 30 years he dedicated to serving the city, Detective Greg Ferenczi did more for this community and touched more lives than most people would given 100 years.
Ferenczi was killed in Terre Haute last week. The suspect accused of killing him has been charged with premeditated murder of a federal agent. The protests in Cuba have turned deadly. This morning, the Cuban government is reporting that one person was killed Monday after clashing with police. Demonstrations are growing larger by the day as people protest shortages of food, fuel, and power, and COVID cases in the country are jumping. Anti-government activists say more than 100 people have been arrested or are missing. And there is a show of solidarity in Miami. Protesters and members of the Cuban exile community are taking to the streets to back the demonstrators. Hundreds of protesters forced the shutdown of parts of a major expressway for hours yesterday. They were chanting and demanding interference from the U.S. government. Pope Francis is on his way home. The Pope was seen leaving the hospital this morning, 10 days after having surgery. He also visited the pediatric oncology ward yesterday at the same hospital. Francis had half of his colon removed for a severe narrowing of his large intestine on July 4th. It was a planned procedure. I-Team 8 is putting pressure on Indiana's Department of Workforce Development after we found that neighboring states have launched programs to help people wipe out unemployment repayments. Viewers have been telling us their stories of being ordered to pay back the money. I-Team8's Richard Essex asked the department about a potential program like those here in Indiana.
Our I-Team emails have been flooded with complaints and pleas for help. Since Friday afternoon, we've had close to 200 people contact us saying the state has ordered them to repay every dime they received in unemployment, even though they were eligible for benefits. We've discovered what other states are doing, and it will likely leave those families outraged. Take a look at this map. We found states that surround Indiana that have approved waivers that would skip those forced repayments. Take Kentucky, for example. The governor's office there says 14,000 people received overpayments last year. A statement sent from Governor Beshear's office to ITMA says new federal law allows states to waive non-fraudulent unemployment insurance overpayments during the pandemic late last year. But Kentucky was among a handful of states that required legislative action to provide relief. The governor and lawmakers have approved a system to offer a waiver to Kentucky families, and they're taking applications now. And look to Ohio. The state today opened applications for its new repayment waiver program. People with non-fraudulent overpayments can request a waiver that, if approved, would absolve the claimant from repaying those funds to the state.
We are in the final stages of testing a web-based application that will allow legitimate claimants with overpayments due to no fault of their own to request a waiver. In the coming days, we will be notifying customers about how to apply for a waiver in both the traditional unemployment program and the pandemic unemployment assistance program.
Michigan already has a waiver on the books. In Illinois, the governor signed a law last month to grant waivers for overpayment to claimants at no fault of their own. So why not Indiana? The Department of Workforce Development did send us a statement that says Indiana does offer a type of waiver. In certain circumstances, a claimant may be eligible to have his or her overpayment waived. However, it does not specifically address overpayment waivers for pandemic unemployment benefits. ITMAID has reached out to the leadership in both the House and the Senate and the governor's office, and as of right now have not heard back. We want direct answers to questions about the confusion, the documents on proof of employment, and about the appeal process. And again, we have heard nothing, and we're going to keep asking those questions until the Commissioner of the Workforce Development or Governor Holcomb gives us some straight answers. At the State House, Richard Essex, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
The Department of Workforce Development says it still hopes to resume unemployment payments by Friday. We asked the Attorney General's office if the state will ask the Indiana Supreme Court to halt the payments, and they've not given an answer yet. About 4 million people are about to get tax refunds. The government is returning money they overpaid for unemployment compensation taxes. The refunds come from a part of the American Rescue Plan, which makes the first $10,200 of unemployment benefits non-taxable for most people. The IRS says direct deposit refunds will hit bank accounts today, and paper checks will begin to be mailed out on July 16th. And if you've noticed higher prices on things you buy, don't panic. At least that's the encouragement from economists. CNN reports that experts call the rising costs temporary. They say prices are rebounding after a year of low demand for most things during the pandemic. As we've reported out on Wish TV, the Consumer Price Index was up 5.4% in June. That means inflation is up, so you're spending more on food, cars, tickets, and gasoline. And some states are seeing a higher bill at the grocery store. According to Move.org, in Indianapolis, the average is just over $318 per month. Groceries are reported to be the lowest in Manchester, New Hampshire at $183 per month. The most expensive in Honolulu, Hawaii at more than $556 per month. And right now, there is a race to contain some 60 wildfires burning out west. There is progress to report along the California-Nevada state line, where the Beckworth Complex fire has scorched nearly 93,000 acres and has forced some 3,000 families to evacuate. Firefighters report improvement, 66% containment, with hopes of getting a full handle on it soon. Farther north in Oregon, firefighters have little, if any, control over the blaze known as the bootleg fire. You can see from satellite images that have been released just towering smoke plumes riding the wind is casting huge shadows east and north of the fire. The wind is making the firefight harder. It's also getting fuel from the heat and tinder dry cover because of the drought. Yesterday, it grew to 200,000 acres and firefighters have no containment. One person is dead after a small plane crashed into a home in a California neighborhood. It happened in a gated community in Monterey County, south of San Jose. The crash started a fire that spread to nearby brush. A local TV station reports the person was found inside the plane. According to the FAA, the plane left the Monterey Regional Airport around 2 miles away from the house. The sheriff's office says the pilot was the only person on board, and right now it is not known why the plane crashed. And today, the Washington Monument reopens to visitors. A landmark in D.C. has been closed for 6 months. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the monument closed in March of 2020 before briefly reopening in October. It then closed again in January. According to the National Park Service, masks are required for all guests inside. That's for both vaccinated and unvaccinated visitors. Indy Parks is set to break ground today on a new family center in Broad Ripple Park. The new family center will include things like upgraded fitness areas, an indoor walking track, group meeting space, and a health clinic. It's part of the Broad Ripple Park Master Plan that was unveiled in 2018. Construction of the new family center is expected to be finished by the end of 2022. In Indianapolis, there is a workshop helping single mothers raise their sons. It's the Boys to Men program, where kids learn life skills like changing a tire, starting a grill, and tying a necktie. A nonprofit called Single Parent Connection has partnered with the men's ministry of the Blended Church to lead a Boys to Men learning workshop series. Last month, around 20 young men participated. The series will then start again in August. The workshop series is 4 weeks long. Boys from 12 to 18 years old learn those life skills, how to fish, automotive maintenance, how to shave, a lot more. The founder of Single Parent Connection, Dion Brown, says up to 60 families experiencing difficulties have received education, empowerment, and support since 2018. Brown is also a single mother and got her 18-year-old son involved with the Boys to Men workshop herself.
Didn't know how to tie a necktie. We learned on YouTube together how to tie a necktie because as a woman, that was something I never needed to know. But I had to find a way to learn it so that I could teach him as well. So we learned together. And then he was also able to learn additionally from another man.
August is the last Boys to Men workshop series until next summer. It'll be every Saturday starting August 7th through the 28th at the Blended Church on the city's west side. Single Parent Connection will host smart money management workshops to improve self-sufficiency among parents as well. An Indianapolis group is pushing back on the city's new multi-million-dollar crime prevention plan. Leaders for Indy 10 Black Lives Matter say that they would like to see most of the $3.3 million go to community programs instead of to IMPD. Indy 10 believes programs that address housing and mental health could be more valuable for the community.
You're saying, oh, let's start a community advisory board. Let's make sure that this has a civilian majority. But when your constituents are coming to you in that space and confronting you, you're disregarding it.
We are seeing crime the likes of which the city of Indianapolis has never seen in the history.
So we got to come to the middle of the road and we got to take a hard look at what it is we really want to do, both short term and long term.
The City County Council approved the plan Monday night. Several other community members spoke in support of the city's proposal. IPS is releasing the details of next week's Back to School Festival. It'll be a drive-through Monday event with 2 chances to go, 11 to 2 or 4 to 6. The Children's Museum is hosting it. There you can get a backpack full of supplies, school uniforms, and information about the start of classes. There's also a free clinic to get required for school immunizations and a COVID-19 vaccine 2 blocks north of the museum at School 60. Today, Britney Spears has another hearing over her conservatorship battle. The judge is likely to consider the singer's request for a new attorney after her court-ordered one resigned. Spears stated she wanted to hire her own attorney at her last hearing 3 weeks ago. TMZ is reporting that she has chosen one who has agreed to do it if the judge approves it. She also told the judge her 13-year conservatorship was abusive. The singer is not expected to be in court, but will join by phone with supposedly, as TMZ reports, the attorney who she's hoping does get that approval to represent her. Finally, to business headlines. Norwegian Cruise Lines filed a lawsuit hoping to put an end to the state's law preventing businesses from requiring customers to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination. We're talking about Florida here. Without a lifting of the ban, the company says it would be forced to cancel cruises. Norwegian's first sailing from Florida is set for August 15th. United Airlines is placing a new bet on electric air travel. The airline is investing in electric aircraft startup Heart Aerospace, which will fast-track the development of its ES-19 electric aircraft to begin commercial service by 2026. United has a goal to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions 100% by 2050. There's a warning about the cost of supporting an aging U.S. population. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo told Reuters America's aging demographics were going to hit the country like a ton of bricks without increased federal aid. President Joe Biden does not yet have enough support from fellow Democrats to secure $400 billion in spending for at-home care for the elderly and disabled. This has been your News 8 Daily for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast, The News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.